All right, guys. This is the second time I had to upload this video. YouTube is forcing me to take out the creature crawling under the bridge for some reason. So I apologize for that, and I just wanted to give you an explanation on why I'm re-uploading this. Thank you, YouTube. Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Today I have a very exciting upload for you. We've got some videos that I'd like you to check out. I've got some terrifying encounters, and I'd like to quickly discuss something. Before we do that, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And also, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and you know what, guys? It really matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? Before we get into this upload, I'd like to address something. I am not ever too proud to admit that I am wrong. Now, the video I did 4 days ago about Coyote Peterson and his magnificent find in the British Columbia wilds, I found that a subscriber sent me his, I think it was Twitter, his Twitter feed. I went and I checked it out, checked the pictures out, and Coyote Peterson and his channel have always been a channel for education. He has mapped kind of like the pain threshold. So I really took him serious. I didn't think he would be a clickbait artist, which apparently that was clickbait. Now, I went off of the Twitter page and what he said on it. Coyote Peterson, breaking news, leaking pics here before they are taken down and before government/official try to seize our footage. Found a large primate skull in British Columbia, filmed it, cut the footage, released it on Brave Wilderness this weekend. Have kept this secret for several weeks. Yes, I have the skull. It is currently in a secure location awaiting a primatologist review. Absolutely unreal. We thought it was a bear's skull when we found it. I can 100% guarantee it is not. The skull was found partially buried under the ground in a deep back forest ravine after a massive storm in the Pacific Northwest, where clearly a bunch of trees and earth were disturbed. I am sure these pics will be taken down, as will probably the video by the government or state park officials. But the skull is safe. I don't know if it is what you all think it may be, but I cannot explain finding a primate skull in the Pacific Northwest without wondering, what do you believe? So I read that, and this is a channel that I watched with my daughters and really admired him. He has his own daughter, takes her out into the wilderness and explores. And then he's got these great pics of this primate skull. And apparently, it is clickbait. I'm not happy about it at all. It's a what if scenario, I guess. What if you found a skull? But he doesn't say that in that tweet at all. or it was on Instagram. I'm sorry, guys. You can find it on his Instagram. And it's just really disturbing to me because this guy is supposed to be about education and supposed to be about truth and, just exploration of the wild wilderness. And it's almost like he kind of made a mockery of it. I mean, he did kind of a little documentary video, kind of showed us how Bigfoot would walk. Like, we all don't know how, but watching this 5'6" guy creep around like a Bigfoot was not really amusing, especially after finding out it was clickbait. So it was clickbait, and I was deceived, and I apologize. But I never once said, like, hey, I said flat out in the video, this is from his Instagram. This is what he's sharing. Is this real? Oh my God. If it is real, it's amazing. But I wanted to share that with everybody because I'm not too proud to admit that I was wrong or deceived. And I was deceived. And Coyote Peterson, you're a clickbait clown. And I don't think that was really cool because you probably really ticked off a lot of people when they realized that we trusted you and you clowned us. Fool. Let's move on. Today's first experience is a subscriber submission. Jeff, how's it going? I've been a subscriber for a couple of years now, and I've had a couple of different encounters with what I believe to be a dogman. Here they are. This was in 1998. My girlfriend and I went for a late night drive. She was 18, I was 21. I'm now 47. We went for a drive past Loon Lake. It was a remote 2-lane country road. It was around 1 in the morning. I had my high beams on because the area had lots of deer. As we drove around a sharp corner, I saw something large jump out of a tree line, landing in the middle of the road. I slammed on my brakes, coming to a stop about 30 feet from what looked like a bear at first glance. It was on all fours. A couple of seconds later, it stands on 2 legs. From the side, it had long hair. You could see its muscles. It had to have been 7 feet plus. It had a wolf-like head with large pointed ears, a long snout. You could see its breath. Then it turned its head and looked at us. Then back at the trees across the road and back at us. Then it jumped from the middle of the road into the trees and was gone. I believe we saw a dogman or a werewolf. I also think it was chasing a deer because it looked out of breath from running. I think it was trying to decide to either attack us or go after the deer. It didn't show any fear of us in my truck. It looked evil. I can't explain it any better than pure evil. This thing looked like it wanted to kill us, and it looked intelligent. You could see it was thinking and making a choice, not acting like it was on instinct. My second encounter was about 15 years ago, 2002, maybe 2003. I was out at Smith River, Oregon, Douglas County. My grandfather and I decided we wanted to go fishing. Rest in peace, Grandpa Jim. The Upper Smith is a remote place. You can only see the river from a small 1-lane bridge. We pulled off the road at one of these bridges. This stretch of the river is a good honey hole full of trout and bright red crawdad. This was August. We got there maybe 8:30 in the morning. We got our poles all set up and we were ready to hit the water. No sooner had we stepped into the river, about 300 feet downriver around a bend, we heard something large hit the water. Something was running through the water. Then we heard it crashing through the trees and brush, going away from us. We both thought we had spooked a bear or some elk. No big deal, we see them all the time. We continued. As we got to the spot where we heard everything, we found some crawdads neatly pulled apart and some small rocks that had looked like they had been used to help smash the shells. Then we saw some massive footprints in the soil. My granddad had a tape to measure the fish. The prints were 18 inches long. We also saw where it grabbed a small tree to help pull itself up the bank. The moss on the tree was rubbed off where it had grabbed it. We looked at each other and just continued to fish the creek. My final encounter. I had a job building logging roads. It was my turn to stay and fire watch for an hour after we shut down. After that was done, I decided to drive downriver. I stopped at the bridge to see if I could spot any steelhead. As I sat on the edge of the bridge eating my lunch, just enjoying the day, I started to hear some tree knocks across the open field in the tree line. Then, maybe 5 minutes later, I heard some more tree knocks up on this steep hill behind me. This went on for a little while. They would take turns knocking. This hillside was so steep no person could get down it without making a lot of noise and a few cuss words. The knock on the hillside got closer and closer, till it had to be at least 50 yards from me. I didn't have any protection, no gun, no bear spray, so at that point I said in a loud voice, "Okay guys, I'm leaving. You can have your spot back." I got in my car and left. Maybe it was a couple of people messing around with me. I doubt it was on that hillside. I didn't feel like I was in danger, but I did get the hint that I was not wanted there. All right, so part 2, we're going to check out some videos. First part that I'd like to discuss is the photo that we've been looking at throughout this video to start with. Supposedly a dogman sitting down. I see something. I do see something. I will admit that it's not the best evidence, but there is something there. I'm not sure if it is Dogman or not. I do see a snout. It could be a case of pareidolia, or it could be a Dogman. I'm just being honest with what I see. I don't want to say, hey, that's 100%, because I don't know. It looks like it possibly could be real. So you guys decide for yourselves. The next part of this is going to be a video of a creature, a crawler possibly, crawling on the bottom side of this bridge. It's a very strange sighting. I don't think it's CGI. I believe whatever is under this bridge is clearly not human. But once again, I wasn't there. I don't know. To me, I'd have to say yes, I believe this to be real. And if you look at it on a computer screen while you're looking at this, there's another one under the bridge as well. So there are two in this setting here. So I really feel like this video clip is 100% legit. I do. I don't know about you, and I'm not going to debate it because we can't. We weren't there. But that's how I feel inside. You decide for yourselves. Check out the video. The next video is a group of kids. Look, I don't know how many, but there's a couple different voices there, and they hear or see something down a hill, and all of a sudden something comes out of the woods charging up at them. I don't know much more about this video. I do know there was some sort of video like this on a Rando Nautica app video that I saw, where I guess Rando Nautica is a app, and I've got it on my phone. I was going to use it, but I just decided I don't want to. Actually, I don't have time to just randomly drive around my town looking for creepy things that probably will just send me to a bad section of my town and I'll get robbed and my car taken. But anyway, I'm just teasing. Um, I guess this app, you type in, what your setting is and this, and that, your demeanor, and it brings you to certain places. And you don't really see. I mean, the videos that I've seen, people have not had the best experiences. A group of kids actually found a body in a suitcase off of the coast of, I think in Massachusetts. No, I don't know. All I know is found off by the ocean, and it was a real case. The police were called in, and they used this app, and they found this suitcase. And there's just been numerous little things like that. Well, this guy apparently had used the app, and he went like isolated part of his town down some trails. And this may be that video, I don't know. But I know that a creature ran out of the woods at him. So I think he said, is that a cow? As it was coming up, because he could only see the white of it. Whatever it is moving very quickly. And where the location is, I'm not sure. But the video that I saw, and I don't know if it's the same one. It looks like the same one. But it was deep in the woods. And, these crawlers are really dangerous, I believe. I really, truly believe they are dangerous creatures. And they like the deep woods or underground caverns, stuff like that. So this setting would be perfect for one of these things. But like I said, I don't know too much detail about it. I don't know if it's CGI or not. To me, it really looks real because there is movement of the branches and brush and stuff. And he is moving, or the creature is moving rapidly at these kids. And if it was like some dude in a suit, I don't think he'd be able to move so rapidly up a hill like that. So I'm fairly certain this may be real. 80-20.
Is that a cow? What is that? Oh, frick! Is that a cow? What is that? Oh, frick!
All right, so this final video that I want to look at, or have you guys look at, is a video that some subscribers had asked me to check out about a week and a half ago. And I did. I looked at it. At first, I kind of dismissed it. And then I went back and watched it again and again and again. Now, as of recent, when it comes to pictures and videos, I borrowed a tip from a ghost hunter. I don't like this person's character that they portray on TV or whatnot, and I'm sure they're not like that in the real world. Maybe they are. But I really enjoy how Ghost Hunters with Zach Baggins, when they go to a place, they try to debunk it first. And I think that's valuable. I think it's a valuable skill to, sit there and, I hear this thumping. Well, check it out. This window moves this way. That explains the thumping. And so I'm trying to debunk these videos. Sorry, I hit the mic with my hand by accident. And I then thought, okay, maybe it's CGI. And, with all these programs nowadays, my daughter, who's going to be 15, could probably create something that is mind blowing with CGI, and the more I stare at this, the more I'm on the fence with it. So I'd say I'm 60-40 on this. You guys decide. Today's third encounter. I lived in Pueblo, Colorado back in 2001. My wife and I lived on a 5-acre home near the Arkansas River. We had a horse, a few chickens, 2 pigs, and a bulldog. One night we had our nephews over for the weekend. It was summer, mid-August, around midnight on a Friday. My nephews were up playing video games. My wife and I had gone to bed. All of a sudden, my nephews come running in the room saying they had heard something near the bedroom window. My dog's barking at the back door, but he wasn't going close to the door like he normally does. I thought that's odd because he's very good about protecting the house at that time of night. I knew it wasn't anyone or any of our neighbors over because we had 2 neighbors, one near the wooded area next to the Arkansas River, and the other 10 acres down the road, so the dog was going crazy. I hear something on my patio deck, and it was moving pretty fast near the door. I had my 40 cal. At the time, my wife and kids had a baseball bat. The boys all had some good flashlights. So I told everyone to grab their shoes, and we went to the front door so we could sneak up on whatever was out there. We went around the side of the house really quick, but didn't get to see anything. We had a big barn about 50 feet from the house. We walked around and saw nothing. We went back to the house, and 10 minutes later, we hear something on the roof running around. At that point, my wife was really scared, and so were my nephews. I told them to stay inside this time, and me and the dog would go out. But my wife said she would go with us this time and grabbed a shotgun, and the boys again had their flashlights. The rung on the roof was loud, so my front door facing my horse field, and we see the horses running around crazy towards the stable. We run about 20 yards toward the horse, and the flashlight hits what I think is a huge sheepdog. But as we got closer to it, it turned around, and it was on 2 legs. It had really long hair and yellowish eyes. At that point, we had our guns pointed at it, but we were in shock. What we were looking at, this thing was around 5 feet tall, had arms and hands with nails or claws. It turned around on us and ran really fast. I fired a shot, not at it, but in the air. My wife and I and the boys all ran back to the house in shock. For about an hour, no one said a word. We just looked at each other, locked the whole house down. An hour later, my wife asked me and the nephews what they saw, but before they said anything, I told everyone to draw what they had seen. We all drew the same thing, a 5-foot creature with long hair, with 2 legs and arms, with claws and long nails. It was white. I still can see it like it was yesterday. Till this day, I wonder what the hell that thing was. Tonight's final experience. I have an encounter you may find interesting. I saw a huge dog-like creature, a werewolf, or dogman if you like, back in 1987 or 88 when I was 4 or 5 in Bulgaria at the Rhodope Mountains. My grandmother was ill with cancer, and she was there in the sanitarium, so I tagged along with her and also a friend of hers. That was also her doctor. One day after breakfast, we went for a walk like we usually did, and we took a trail that led all the way to the top near the mountain. They were walking in front of me, talking and discussing whatever, and I was right behind them, playing with a stick, just being a kid. After a while, they stopped and looked at the ground and started lightly kicking something. I turned out it was a dead snake. Then they told me not to grab it or even touch it because it could bite me, even if it was dead, and continued walking slowly forward. I poked the snake with my stick, thinking, how could it bite me when it's dead? And after, let's say, a minute, I decided to get another stick and throw it in the woods away from the trail. And that's what I did. I walked in the woods, and as soon as I threw it, I saw a big black thing running very fast through the woods, 50 meters away. I stopped dumbfounded as to what this thing was because it was running on its hind legs like a human, but it was much taller and had black fur all over, and it looked like an animal. I reached a conclusion that it must have been a kucker. That's a human dressed in a scary costume in Bulgaria to chase the evil spirits away. I decided to follow it for a bit and see where it went, and I ran the same direction it did. In no more than 5 minutes, I reached a small clearing in the woods, like a small meadow, and I looked around for it for a bit, thinking to myself that I should go back now anyway. At that moment, I realized that the whole forest was very quiet, unusually quiet, like the whole world had been put on pause. I turned left to see where I had come from and go back the same way, but I saw something that got my attention. There was 2 red glowing lights, really low behind a brush, and right beside a large tree trunk. I stared at them for 10 or 15 seconds and realized that it's a huge head with glowing eyes staring directly at me. I'm still thinking it's the caulker, and it was hiding from me for some reason. So I said hi and raised my hand. Then this thing just got up like, okay, you got me, and started walking towards me. Then I saw steam from it coming out of its mouth and snout. That's the first time I questioned my idea that this is a masked person. It smelled terrible, like wet dog, carrion, vomit mixed. But that's not what got me scared. This huge dog-like creature, imagine a bodybuilder, multiply that by 5, 3 meters tall. You could see every single muscle on this thing. Had shaggy, nasty-looking hide, but pretty much no hair on its front side. When it got so close to me, like only a bush was standing between us, this creature spoke to me, asked me if I would like to help it pick some berries with a calm, soothing voice. It was kind of woman-like and not at all suitable for a creature that looked like this. At that point I was frozen, so the only thing I could do was nod my head in agreement. Then for some reason it told me to take my shoes and socks off and follow it. I did exactly that, with one of my shoes and a sock, but then I changed my mind. When I put my foot on the ground in order to take the other one off, because I hate to this day to walk barefoot, and I started putting my sock back on, this thing got really upset with me. For some reason, it growled at me loudly from behind a bush and lowered its head toward me, showing its teeth. Its eyes lit up like they were red bulbs, and someone increased the electricity. I took a step back and spoke to it for the first time. After saying hi to it, saying, I'll tell on you to my grandmother, like a kid would say, but it replied immediately with, now changed tone of voice with small pauses between the words, "No one will believe you." Like it wasn't used to talking at all. Then it grabbed me under its armpit and started running. I remember that. I couldn't breathe. The branches were hitting my face. I wanted to scream, but couldn't. And I thought I was going to die. I must have passed out because the next thing I remember is me waking up on a rock, and the first thing I saw was that I was not in the woods anymore, but 20 meters away from them. I wanted to run to my grandmother, but had no idea where I was. I stood up and looked around, telling myself that I'm not going back into that forest. So I turned around to check what is in the other direction. I nearly shot myself. This creature had taken me all the way up a sheer rocky cliff 500 meters to the summit of the mountain, as I would learn later on. At that point, I sat down. I broke down and started crying. I prayed to God to see my family again. I remember looking at the valley below, and it was very beautiful, but very far. The trees looked like a Lego-sized block. Not long after, I heard sticks breaking up in the forest, and my heart dropped, thinking it was the creature returning. So I tried to hide and look invisible on a rock, but didn't have anywhere to go and hide myself. So I stood there completely motionless, partially hidden at the small boulder. Then a person walked out of the woods. Looking away from where I was, went to the edge of the cliff and started looking down the valley with his binoculars. So I was just sitting there, quiet like a dead person for a moment, until I got the courage and I stood up and began walking slowly toward them. When he saw me for the first time, he got startled and pretty much fell backwards. I really scared the poor guy. That turned out to be a park ranger that decided to come to this spot and try to look down the valley for me, because there was already an alert issued for me, but never expected to find my 5-year-old ass all the way up on this cliff that you need special gear to climb. Started asking me questions, but I was scared as well, so I didn't talk. After a few attempts and no response from me, he took me to the park ranger's cabin to contact the others. I must have fallen asleep because I don't remember much after that. The next thing I remember is me waking up in a car on the back seat. It was dark and I heard my grandmother's voice, so I stood up and hugged her so tightly, and I refused to let her go. She started to ask me questions like, "How did you disappear for 10 minutes? Did anybody take you? Who took you to the top? Where are your shoes?" When I told her, she didn't believe me. Instead, she got kind of mad, telling me in her serious voice that this is not time for me to play games and not to make up wild stories about a big black wolf with glowing eyes. I think that was the first time I felt disappointed, and I remembered what this creature told me. No one would believe me. I started to cry from frustration and so many feelings I had, so I sat back down on the back seat. I hid under the blanket they had given me. Then the driver, that was quiet to this point, said, "I was born and raised on this mountain. I have heard stories from my own grandmother that until this day I took as myth and silly legend, but listening to this boy that has never heard these stories that I heard growing up made my blood freeze and question everything I knew was real. I believe you, the boy." I got quiet for a while, and then my grandmother told me, "I believe you too, but promise me not to speak about this ever again. Not to the people back at the sanitarium, not to your friends, not even to your mom." So I did. I gladly promised, because all I wanted for this was to be over. I kept my promise for a long, long time. I even forgot about it, but years back, I was listening to a show about unknown forest creatures and one of these stories about the Michigan Dogman, and it just hit my memory as if I had gotten hit with a baseball bat, broke the block I had put on this memory, and everything flooded back. Now this is what I think constantly when I go to sleep. You know, I instantly started thinking about that little boy and little girl. There was 2 little kids within the last 5 or 6 years that were found in random hard spots to get to. One said he had spent the night with a bear, and the other one was with like a wolf or something like that. And I'm wondering if these things just, I don't know, randomly find kids every once in a while, and maybe there are the bad ones and maybe there are the good ones, and just kind of, I don't know, want company for a minute? Who knows? But that little boy, the one where he said I was with a bear and he ended up in like this miles away from where he was initially seen, where he initially disappeared from. And then he's like in this thicket of like thorns and brush and briar and in a swamp, impossible to go through. And yet he said, I spent the night with a bear, a friendly bear. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Huh. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. May the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that we call life.